If you're a maker, a designer, or trying to start a 3D printing company, then maybe you've been thinking about setting up a table at MRRF, the Midwest RepRap Festival, but you don't know what to expect. Will I fit in? Will anyone visit our table? How do I even set up a table? Well, then this video is for you, because S&M Makers is headed to MRRF 2024. And we figured, what better way to make the trip even more special than filming it? While we've attended other RepRap festivals in the past, this will be both our first time attending MRRF and also our first time having our own table. Well before you plan to get in your car and start driving to MRRF, start planning out how you want to set up your table and what supplies you'll need. While the tables are fairly large, you can't set up everything. So figure out what works best for you and how you want to represent yourself to people that come up to ask you questions. Also, things like stickers and banners can take a little while to get, so make sure to plan those out early, or you'll need to spend a lot more in rush expenses. If you're bringing 3D printers, especially bed slingers, make sure to secure all of the moving parts. Nothing would be worse than getting all the way there just to realize you need to rebuild half of your printer. However, be sure to bring a good selection of tools, just in case. That just leaves loading up your car. And we're off. Every year, MRRF takes place in Goshen, Indiana, at the Elkhart County 4-H Fairgrounds. Once you pass through the main gate, you'll need to drive to the main commercial exhibit building, passing a number of food buildings, eventually getting to a grassy area where you can park. You can also park in the larger yellow lot on the other side of the fence. That's where we parked on Saturday and Sunday. Parking is free and there's more than enough. It took a 14-hour drive, but we finally made it to MRRF, so now we just need to head in, find a table, and set everything up. The website says table setup starts at 12 today, but we got here at 10:30, so we're one of the first people here, and we were told we can just grab a table in the back and just set up. This looks like a good table. If you're coming to MRRF to sell things, then you need to be a sponsor, with prices ranging from $250 for the bronze level to $1,000 for the gold. But if you just want to attend and show off your personal projects like we did, then you can grab one of the free tables in the middle. However, the free tables are first come, first serve. We were really nervous that we would drive all the way here just to not get a table, but it ends up there was nothing to worry about. There were more than enough tables, and some never even ended up being used. Table setup was easy. While we needed to carry our printers and equipment the full length of the building, which was rather long, there were no stairs or narrow hallways. A lot of people brought small carts and wagons to help carry their stuff. The tables were 8 feet long and came with 2 chairs, but there were plenty more chairs if you needed them. There was also ample space to store supplies and snacks. We planned ahead and brought a lot of snacks, since the food options are rather limited. Don't worry if your table takes a long time to set up. We never felt rushed or in someone's way. This is a very relaxed event. You might be wondering, yes, there are more than enough outlets for every table, but you'll probably still want an extension cord or 2 and probably a couple power strips.
It was a bit of work, but we got all the printers set up and the computers so we can show up in a little bit now. We're all ready for having people come and ask questions.
We finished setting up our table around 1:45, well before many of the other tables. But MRRF doesn't have a rigid schedule. Most tables were set up by 3 p.m. when the event officially opened to the public, but a couple of tables hadn't even shown up yet. MRRF is an extremely friendly and welcoming event. People from other tables were constantly walking around, saying hello, and asking questions of the other tables. While it took a little while for the crowd to grow, the main reason to set up a table, or even just to attend MRRF, is to talk to people. And even for a small YouTube channel setting up its first table, MRRF definitely didn't disappoint. We were constantly talking to people interested in learning more about us. The people coming up to our table had a diverse range of experiences and backgrounds. At times, we were explaining the basics of how 3D printers work, and at others, sharing war stories and even future modding plans. Starting conversations was easy and always felt very natural. However, you're always promoting yourself or your company, explaining why someone should check out your channel, buy your designs, or follow your work. Be prepared to tell the same overarching story many times before the event is over. We had stickers and business cards, which were very popular, but we quickly realized we also needed a sign with a QRC code pointing to our YouTube channel. Make sure it's easy for both people to find and remember you after MRRF is over. While the official schedule had public hours lasting until 9 p.m., by maybe 7:30 or 8, the place had already mostly thinned out, and a few tables had already started packing up for the night. Around 8:30, some of the overhead lights were turned off, letting us know the day was almost over, and by 8:45, we were one of the few tables still left. So, we decided to call it a night and began shutting everything down. A few people covered their tables with plastic sheets, but most basically just left everything in place. We simply powered everything down. We did take our laptops, however. There was never a feeling that anything was at risk of getting stolen. Even during the busier times, it felt perfectly safe to leave your table to go to the bathroom or to visit other tables. By the time we were ready to leave, we were nearly the last people there, and the building had become very calm. As we got in our car, we witnessed the final people leaving the building and the doors being locked. There was never any fear that anything would be stolen or damaged. It's Saturday, day 2 of MRRF, so we're going to go in, set our table back up, and wait for people to show up. Saturday's regular hours were 9 to 6. Unlike yesterday, where we showed up about 5 hours before MRRF officially opened to the public, today we didn't arrive until 8:45. Since all we needed to do was set up our laptops and turn on the printers, we didn't feel rushed at all. Given Saturday is MRRF's longest day, being open to the public for 9 hours, and then there being an after-show event, you probably don't want to make the day even longer by showing up very early. We got our table set back up again, so now we just need to wait for everybody to arrive. Around 9 o'clock, people slowly started showing up, filling out the sign-in book, getting their badges, buying the official t-shirt, and getting mugs and stickers. Just watching everyone arrive, you could just tell this was going to be special. Especially since attending MRRF is free, the guests range from seasoned 3D printing experts to people who had never seen a 3D printer before, and everything in between. At MRRF, you never know who you're going to meet. On Friday, D. Scott Williamson from Workshop 88 stopped by, and we somehow started talking about the thermal effects of the Neptune 4 Max's heat bed. And today, he showed up with his FLIR 1 thermal camera, so we could check out the heat bed in action.
Is it heating already?
No, it's off.
Good. Got it. Want a video of it warming up?
Oh, that'd be great.
You're ready. We're rolling.
It should be trying to get to 80 degrees.
That's warming up. Can you see it? You can see your zones.
Yeah.
A little cool right up the middle. It's pretty even. Where are we at?
33. This printer's heater, it's a little underpowered, so it's a little slow to heat up.
So I'm not going to record the whole heat up.
Right.
I want to save the battery doesn't last long in this. So I'm
Okay.
gonna shut it off and we can turn it back on.
Oh, sure.
Stand by your printer. The battery. There we go. It says 50. I'm getting about 40, but the calibration on this can be a little loose.
Right.
It's really a relative kind of thing.
It could also be where the thermocouple is.
I feel like you've got some airflow in this direction. You could.
Yeah.
It's to my back. I'll email the pictures to you.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
People tend to show up at your table in waves. There will be lulls when there's no one there, and then all of a sudden you have a crowd bombarding you with questions. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to keep track of all the conversations. MRRF is also a great place to network and find new collaboration opportunities. While talking with Ted Bennett from Mainstream Place on Friday, the topic drifted to creating instructional videos that anyone, no matter their experience level, could easily follow. This led to possibly collaborating on some first robotics competition related videos. And then today, we spent some time talking with MicroSwiss about potentially helping them out with one of their new projects. Prior to attending MRRF, we weren't even aware of either the project. The crowd started to thin out around 5 o'clock, with 6 p.m. being the official end of public hours. There was an after-hours event at 7, but we decided to shut everything down around 6:30 and head back to the hotel. It had been a long but very exciting day. While we didn't attend, we were told the after-hours event was a Meet the Makers event, where the organizers would be asked questions about the history of MRRF. It's Sunday, the final day of the show. We finished setting up, but it appears to be relatively empty at the moment. People are probably taking a lazy morning, probably packing up so that they can leave and head home after the day ends. Sunday was a much slower day than Saturday, and the crowd took a while to arrive. Sunday, mornings, and nights are a great time to wander around and visit the other tables. You can even try out your interviewing skills. I know, this is the first time I've ever done this. Hi, can you tell me a little bit about your prints?
So these are, a lot of these prints are from company Arcane Minis.
Okay.
So this is the Dreadnought class ship, the Jetstar.
Okay.
From the Syndicate. This has 4 layers of interior inside of it. Pretty amazing print, I would have to say. This took, I believe, 72.3 days worth of time.
That sounds like a lot of time.
Just a little bit, just a little bit. It's better than this massive beast here. This guy was 3,268 hours to print, or 136 days.
How do you even go about starting a print like this?
So I get the cost of material first, see how much it's going to take me, and then once I do that, I start from the bottom and I start slicing every single layer. And then as I complete a layer off my printers, I take them off, I start sanding, making sure and getting the next print started. So that way it saves time and I'm multitasking, like getting the prints out and finishing them as they come out.
Okay.
And then this structure here, I put steel rods, make sure everything aligns. And then once I know full layer aligns, then I start gluing it together and steel pinning it with 3D glue.
How do you make sure that if the center, say the center of gravity of the model is slightly off, that it doesn't become tippy or fall over, or just the weight of it is bending?
So essentially, I made the base of this thing much heavier than the top.
Okay.
So this is only 5% infill.
Okay.
Down here is 35. And everything's held together by magnets. So all these magnets, there's probably, if I remember correctly, 180 magnets inside this build.
Okay.
Help holding it together. So essentially the center, I'm lucky enough that this base is wide enough.
Right.
That with the magnets help and the weight of that, it prevents.
And you said this was Arcane 3D's models?
Arcane Minis, yep.
Arcade Minis. Are you associated with Arcane Minis?
I'm one of their merchants, yep.
Oh, okay. Do you do any of the design work?
I do not. That is our amazing modeling team.
Okay.
The design, they do fantastic work. I just print the stuff and display it, make it look pretty.
Okay. Do they have a subscription services?
They do on My Main Factory. And they
Okay.
also have a Patreon and a Tribes.
Okay. Do they have a commercial sell, or is it just for personal
They do
use?
have commercial sales as well. You can subscribe for a certain amount. I believe it's $50 a month.
Okay. It seems like a lot of these smaller models would be a lot easier for somebody to start with.
Yes, definitely. When you start off, I would say start small first, and then have a goal in mind, like what you want to do. And then you can just grow from there. Like, don't let something big be intimidating.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't say your first project starting something that is this size.
Right.
That's a little bit, I mean, hey, if you can do it and you can follow through, hey, that's amazing. But I'd say set up tiny goals and then have like your big goal that you want to do. And then slowly just grow up, learn the techniques,
Right.
learn like the modeling, learn the slicer, learn your printers, learn the quality that you want to push out.
That makes sense. For these models, because you mentioned you print it in slices and then you're adding magnets in the rods. The models already have support for that, or do you have to add that?
These models had support for that. The design team did an amazing job
Okay.
at designing all where the magnets go, where the pins hook up. So they did all the design work for you.
Is this painted all, or is this the filament?
So the main body is painted called zenithal lighting.
Okay.
It's a priming technique. I do 2 cans of black, or 2 layers of black on it, and then I dust over with a white.
Okay.
And that gives it this amazing effect that for maybe like 30 minutes of work.
Besides the painting, what level of post-processing do you generally do for these models?
So typically it's mostly I sand inside the centerpiece. And if like there's a gap between something, I try to fill it with wood putty.
Okay.
Actually works amazing. Wood filler.
Right.
Works amazing for these prints. Like this one, this is one of the first big prints I've done. So I've kind of improved my technique.
Right.
As you can see, you can hardly see the shifts on the vertical. The horizontal can't hide too much because each level comes apart.
Right. Yeah, I can't tell at all where your parts, where the pieces come together.
I just feel like I got to a point that I'm getting better at that, hiding the seams.
Yeah, the scene hiding is definitely very impressive.
Thank you. And then once you hit it with that two-part primer, 2 coats,
Right.
you get this result, which makes them almost invisible. Now I can see a few, but then again, I know exactly where they are in my eye. It's very, very, very faint, but a little bit OCD.
This has been very interesting. Thank you.
No problem.
After the interview, Zachary had me sign his gear. And here's a closer look at his gigantic mansion. It's now Sunday afternoon. That means it's finally time for the best part of MRRF, annoying Marine. It's now just past 1 o'clock, and today there's been a much smaller crowd than there was yesterday, which probably explains why a bunch of the tables are starting to already break down, even though the event does officially end at 3 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock and every single table is already breaking down. Most of them have already left, so we're gonna start breaking down our table so we can head home. We are now all packed up and ready to go, but I decided to take one last look inside the building. Almost everyone is gone, except for the fans. Things have become very quiet. It was a little sad as we started leaving the campgrounds, but we've had a very successful MRRF, met a ton of new people, made a few connections, and potentially gained a few subscribers. Plus, there'll always be another MRRF next year. We finally made it back from MRRF. There was a lot of driving, but the trip was definitely worth it. When you attend MRRF or any of the other RepRap festivals, you can end up with a lot of stuff. Just walking into the door to MRRF, you're given a badge, but there's also official stickers, mugs, and t-shirts. And once you start visiting the tables, you'll collect maker coins, fidget spinners, a bunch of other swag, and you'll even have access to a bunch of show-specific discounts. However, if you have a table, you could end up with even more free stuff. During the show, we were generously given a roll of Starlight Aurora filament by Polymaker, a t-shirt from New Makers, 2 necklaces worth of filament clips from K2 Kevin, and amazingly, a Flowtech HUD end for the Neptune 4 Max by MicroSwiss. Expect this to become a video pretty soon. When planning out your trip to MRRF, remember that there's no air conditioning in the building, so make sure to dress appropriately. However, even though there was a heat wave this year, inside the building really wasn't that bad. There are a ton of fans going constantly, and they even have a swamp cooler. They do make a lot of noise, however, and you probably noticed that earlier in the video. But I do suggest you still probably want to bring a floor fan or a box fan, just in case. Well, that concludes our trip to MRRF. I hope you enjoyed learning what it's like to set up your first table at this amazing festival. Before you go, please make sure to subscribe to our channel to ensure you don't miss any future videos. And if you'd like to be a super supporter of us or Bed Leveler 5000, come visit us over at Patreon. Thanks for watching.